Do you not believe that all of the knowledge and all of the sort of technology in the world should eventually be the common heritage of all people on this planet? For example, access to information that may help us and save us. It should never be the exclusive domain of people who want to make money and monopolize out of it.
Well, yeah, so science, I think, belongs in the public domain. One of the more troubling aspects of what's going on right now is the merger of science with the corporate world. And this is happening through universities, where there's a lot more partnerships with universities and corporations. And this is a trend that I think is potentially dangerous, because if you allow corporations to start to get involved in basic research, it will change the direction of that research, and not to the benefit of all of us, and not to the benefit of science. So science is supposed to investigate fundamental laws of nature without any prejudice or any concern about usefulness. Why do we want to know about the world and the universe? Well, because we're curious, and we ought to, right? This is part of what makes us human. Well, science has proceeded that way for 500 or 600 years. It's been funded mostly outside of the corporate world. Corporations make something out of science when they take science and turn it into a technology. And I have no problem with somebody making a technology that's useful and then trying to profit by that. But what offends me and what offends the institutions of science is when corporations are so involved in the basic research that they are changing that direction and moving it only towards things which they see as potentially profitable. And I think that's a dangerous trend in science. Now, about your question about the public domain, absolutely, I think that knowledge, as it's discovered, should move directly into the public domain. That's what the public domain is about. And that's a commons by necessity, because knowledge about the universe is the sort of thing that cannot be logically contained to the exclusion of others. But if you allow people to, and this comes back to my first point, if you allow people to merge the funding of basic science with corporate interests, then you're going to see the direction of the basic science change. And we're going to, for instance, things like the Large Hadron Super Collider in CERN in Switzerland, which is supposed to find the final particle.
God particle.
Right, exactly, yes. The Higgs boson.
Yes.
That has absolutely no profitable spin-off. I can see no way that anybody's ever going to make money off of that. And if corporations had their say, they would rather take that money somehow and invest it in making new crap we don't need and selling it to us. And I'm afraid that's what's happening as we see this merger of corporate and basic science, especially through universities.
It's all about what's going to be marketable and what's going to make money for them.
Right, and that isn't at all what scientists should be concerned about.
Absolutely, but unfortunately too many of them are seduced by money, and when we still live in the monetary system and we have to pay bills, it's always going to be that way.
Well, it is, and there's a solution for that, and that is to fund basic science very well. And there are ways to do that. So that's been the model we've been working under since the end of World War II. State-funded basic science has been what drove much of the innovation until the present day. And that's a model that tends to work, and there are ways to do it more fairly than we've been doing it. There's been a lot of influence of military interests in that process too, so it's moved in particular directions like space, and it's particularly wasteful exploration of space rather than foundational principles of that we might investigate with other tools. But overall, it's been a process that's worked, and scientists weren't exactly suffering under that model. But yeah, some people are seduced by dreams of making it rich off a particular patent. But actually, that's very unlikely, and most scientists don't get rich off these things. It's only the corporations who do. There are potentially, I can envision useful ways and non-profitable, I mean, not corporately profitable ways of using this technology that are legitimate. So I think that cloning is potentially a very beneficial way of treating certain diseases. If we figure out stem cell technology well, we'll be able to clone body parts, and if somebody has a disease that is killing their body parts, we'll be able to give them new organs or whatnot. So I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about is that somebody will monopolize that to the exclusion of others, charge, again, usurious rents, and force people to go through them to get these treatments. I would rather see the science, the basic science, used by everybody to better us.